Hello friends, this video on the fundamental unit of life part 7 is brought to you by ExamFear.com. No more fear from exam. This topic which we will talk about is nucleus. Let us now see what is a nucleus. Nucleus is a spherical or oval structure near center of a cell. So when you looked at the microscopic image of the onion peel, we saw that inside every cell there was a relatively dark spot, right? So this spherical or oval structure near center of a cell is known as nucleus. So when I talk of nucleus, if you look at this animal cell, this structure is known as nucleus. It is not exactly at the center, but it is somewhere near the center, right? Okay. Similarly, in a plant cell, if you look at this orange colored structure, this one. So this is a nucleus. So it is present in both plant and animal cells. Okay. So let us look at the significance of nucleus. What is the purpose of having a nucleus inside a cell? It is the control center of the cell. So a big name, control center. Why do we call nucleus as the control center of the cell? Because it controls many activities. Like, let us have a look at that. Because it helps in movement, it helps in reproduction. So now, helping in reproduction becomes a very significant thing. As I told you in the cell theory, that cells always arise from pre-existing cells, right? So this phenomenon is known as cell division. That means one cell divides to form two cells. Again, each of them divides to form more cells, right? So this process is known as cell division, and nucleus plays the most crucial role in cell division. So that is how nucleus helps in cell reproduction. Not only cell reproduction, nucleus also helps in the movement of substances from nucleus to outside the cell, right? Which also becomes very important for the survival of the cell. So we will look at the function of the nucleus in detail, but for now you should know that because of these two very important functions, nucleus is often known as the control center of the cell or the brain of the cell. Now let us talk about eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. So you might be wondering that while studying about nucleus, why did we suddenly jump to eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells? That's because there's a reason behind that. So when I talk of nucleus, it becomes important to talk about those cells which have a prominent nucleus and those cells which do not have a prominent nucleus, right? So that is how these two categories have been categorized. So when I talk of eukaryotic cells, they have a well-defined nuclear membrane. Like for example, outside the cell, you have a cell membrane. Similarly, outside the nucleus, you have a nuclear membrane. So in eukaryotic cells, we have a well-defined nuclear membrane. Whereas in prokaryotic cells, we do not have a defined nuclear membrane. So that means in eukaryotic cells, you have a specific nuclear region where the nucleus is located. But in prokaryotic cells, you do not have a specific nuclear region because there is no defined nuclear membrane. So the contents of the nucleus is scattered here and there, right? So that is why we are discussing these two categories of cells, because they have been categorized based on a nuclear membrane. Next, in eukaryotic, we have a distinct nucleus. But in prokaryotic cells, we do not have a distinct nucleus because, as I said, everything is scattered here and there. Cell organelles are present in eukaryotic cells. In prokaryotic cells, many cell organelles are absent. In eukaryotic, most of the cell organelles, right now we have not spoken about any of the cell organelles, but generally I am saying all cell organelles will have an individual membrane of its own. All the organelles will have its own cell membrane, right? But in prokaryotic, there are many cell organelles which are not at all present. In eukaryotic cells, region bounded by nuclear membrane contains DNA and protein. As I said, that means inside the nucleus, what do we have? Inside the nucleus, we mainly have DNA and protein. But in prokaryotic cells, there is no specific region, right? So the undefined region with nucleic acids is known as nucleoid, because here the region is like a scattered region. So whichever region has more of nucleic acids, we call that region as the nucleoid. So that means in prokaryotic cells, we have nothing called nucleus, we have nothing called nuclear membrane. Instead, we have something called as nucleoid. So nucleoid is any region which has more of nucleic acids. Let us look at some of the examples. When I talk of eukaryotic cells, you can consider any example of any plant or animal cells. When I talk of prokaryotic cells, you can think of bacteria and blue-green algae cells. Because most of the cells which we see are eukaryotic, human beings or any animal or bird, so they will all be eukaryotic, where you have all cell organelles present surrounded by membranes, where you have a distinct nucleus which is surrounded by a nuclear membrane. But in prokaryotic cells, everything is vague. You do not have distinct organelles. You are not able to see the organelles specifically because they are not surrounded by any membranes. Similarly, there is no distinct nucleus. There is no nuclear membrane. So you just have some region. There is just some region which will have some nucleic acids, and that region is known as nucleoid. Right? So this is how we differentiate between eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. So let us have a quick look at the eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. If you look at the eukaryotic cells, this is an animal cell where you have a distinct nucleus which is surrounded by a nuclear membrane, which you can see here, right? Similarly, you have so many these different structures which you see, they are different cell organelles. So you can see specific cell organelles, each of them surrounded with its own membrane. Similarly, in a plant cell also, you see that these are the different structures. This is the nucleus which is surrounded by the nuclear membrane. Similarly, other cell organelles are also present. Whereas in case of a prokaryotic cell, if you look at this prokaryotic cell, do you see a specific nucleus? There is no specific nucleus. There is just one region which has nucleic acid. That means this region consists of nucleic acid.